Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 13, Chapter 20. Why Organize? The task before mankind is to plant the seeds of truth, righteousness, peace, and love in the heart, made ready for their reception. To foster the saplings and watch over them with love and care until they grow into trees, yielding a rich harvest of sweet fruits, and to enable all to share in that sustaining repast. Sages who had succeeded in this beneficial culture have laid down the means and methods, the steps and slips, the helps and hindrances that man has to consider while engaged in this task, and millions have benefited by their counsel. But never before has this become an organized movement in which the entire humanity was involved. Unless it becomes so, there can be no liberation from fear, anxiety, and injustice. The sages of India knew that man was fundamentally divine. They sought to make man aware of his inner reality and expand that spark of divinity into light that can illumine the individual and society in the splendor of love. Renunciation alone leads to immortality. As a first step, they advised the discarding of violence, which has egotism and greed in its roots. The Vedas, ancient sacred scriptures, the Shastras, spiritual sciences, the epics, and the Puranas, mythological legends, that are collected, collated, or composed carry this message. Man is afflicted by misery since he is caught in the coils of never-ending desire and all-consuming greed. Casting off these trammels, man has to march on towards the goal of realizing God, which is his innermost truth. The swimmer has to push the water behind him so that he might proceed forward. So too, while attempting to march forward, man has to push back from him the evil thoughts, habits, deeds, and impulses that crowd into him. The Sathya Sai Seva organization has to teach this lesson not by precept elaborately described in elegant language, but by example that spreads conviction, instills faith, and assures success. Members of this organization must be examples also of the joy that can be derived from giving up rather than accumulating. The Upanishads proclaim that renunciation alone leads to immortality. Tyaganaike amritatva manasaho. In spite of this, man looks for ease, yet reeks with disease. He pursues bhoga, enjoyment, and is rewarded with roga, disease. Saint Tyagaraja, the great mystic singer, had realized that Sannidhi, treasure house of the divine, is far more preferable to Nidhi, treasures of men. The most desirable treasure is truth, righteousness, peace, and love. Truth about oneself is to be learned first. When man does not know his own truth, how can he judge others or deal with others? When man knows that he is the indestructible, eternal Atman, he is free from fear. Truth can shine forth only from a purified mind and a clarified intellect. The units of the Sathya Sai Seva organizations must be ever active in following and observing the disciplines laid down for these two processes. Man has to overcome the animal in him, the Pashu, beast, has to be laid down, and the Pashupati, Master of living beings, God, installed in the heart. This aim has to be constantly borne in mind by the organization and its members. The journey towards it has to be steady and fervent. Sai devotees must free themselves of all prejudices. Patience, tolerance, fortitude, equanimity, fraternity, these will prove invaluable equipment for the pilgrim. Do not distinguish between one fellow pilgrim and another on the basis of caste, creed, or color, and do not divide them into friends or foes. Recognize only the common traits, the uniting efforts, the basic divinity. Rich and poor, scholar and illiterate, these are distinctions that do not hold good for long, for they are but outer frills. A flower radiates fragrance and charm, whether held in the right hand or the left. It does not limit that gift to some and deny it to others. Everyone who comes near is blessed. The members of the units of this organization must be ever engaged in the twin processes of purifying the mind and clarifying the intellect. They have to free themselves from all prejudices and misunderstandings. They have to speak softly and sweetly, and give everyone the respect and attention due to them sincerely. Humility and tolerance must characterize the behavior of a Sai devotee. When the wind agitates the serene waters of a lake, wavelets dance all over its face and 1,000 suns sparkle. When calm descends and the waters are still, the shadow of the sun within the lake is one full image. Seva should not be tarnished by pride. When one fixes one's entire attention on the sun instead of on the images and the water that cause them, there is only the one sun that is real. The sparkling little images in the agitated lake represent the symbol of Dvaita, duality, Vishishta Advaita, qualified dualism. The one sun which is reflected as one or many is the Advaitic, non-dualistic truth. This fact is clearly revealed in the three statements made one after the other by Jesus. I am the messenger of God, I am the Son of God, and I and my Father are one. The three statements are revelations of the Dvaitic, Vishishta Advaitic, and Advaitic points of view. The organization must help people realize the unity behind all this apparent multiplicity, which is only a superimposition by the human mind on the one that is all this. The Vedas proclaim that God is one, that the goal is the same, and that truth stands self-revealed when the goal is the same. The Vedas proclaim that the truth stands self-revealed when the veil of the world is cast away or torn off. One simple way to realize this unity is through seva, selfless service. Seva that is not tarnished by a superiority complex, or by pride, or even by a sense of duty towards the organization with which you are bound. Revere the dweller within, not the house where he resides. The dweller is the same in every house, whether it is a palace or a hovel. Therefore, devotion to the dweller must persuade you to worship every individual through acts of service, intelligently executed with sincere enthusiasm. Regulation is the very essence of creation. Do not fret against the rules and regulations which the organization imposes on you. They are laid down for your own good. Regulation is the very essence of creation. The oceans observe their limits. Wind and fire respect their limits and bounds. The human body has to maintain its warmth at 98.4 Fahrenheit in order to be healthy, and the heart has to beat a definite number of times a minute. How then can this organization escape the prescriptions of certain rules and regulations? Devotion has to be guided and controlled by discipline and duty. What exactly is duty in this context? By duty, I do not mean the items of work entrusted to you by your superiors or society. Duty means the responsibility you have not to hinder or harm anyone by your movements, speech, behavior, or activities. When one walks on the street waving one's stick, one has to be conscious of the man coming from behind. If you have the freedom to wave, he too has the same freedom, and both should behave as if they have a duty towards each other. The units of this organization too have to respect other units and help them in doing their duty. Rules are necessary until the members realize the spiritual unity of all. When they become incapable of inflicting harm or transgressing the moral code, rules become superfluous. Protect the plant from goats for a few years. Then, when the tree spreads its branches far and wide, those very goats can lie down under its shade and rest. All Sai units are parts of one Sai organization. We have 5 principal units in the organization, and in every village or town where we have these, there should be an exemplary unity and cooperation between them. They are like the 5 fingers of a hand. The little finger is the Bhajana Mandali, the group devoted to singing the glory of God. But they should not be proud that they are the pioneers and primary workers. The ring finger is the Bal Vikas, children's educational wing. On the precious gold plate of juvenile hearts, the Guru, preceptor, affixes the gems of goodness and godliness. That is the ring which this finger wears, but that should neither make the Bal Vikas proud nor make the Guru feel that the work done by it is the most important. And so it has to be honored most. The sense of unity and cooperation must prevail. The middle finger is the Seva Dal, service corps, helping the 2 units on one side and the 2 on the other. But it should not hold its head high and claim to be superior to all the rest. The index finger is the Mahila Vibhag, women's division, the unit which is composed of women who point to the good, the great, the useful, the right, etc. They too should not be filled with overweening conceit. The thumb naturally is the Seva Samiti, Sai organization, the overall executive, the guide, the guardian, the promoter and provider. Thus each finger must feel that strength lies in working with the rest, that all are but parts of one hand, which they cannot ignore. In a world torn by factions based on the flimsy grounds of caste, creed and color, you have to prove that it is possible to have faith in Sai. Sai being the motivator for every living being, and get inspiration for genuine service from that faith. Service to the Sai in the other person must be your daily act of worship. Of all sadhanas, this is the most effective. Seek out the slum dwellers, the poor, neglected individuals in hamlets. They take love and light to them in plenty. God is the refuge of those who have no place to rest, says the proverb. Go to places where you can find such and carry the message of hope and strength into their hearts. Be grateful to them when they welcome you and provide you chances to serve them. Your happiness depends on their happiness. Your health depends on their health. You keep your houses clean, their houses too are yours. For the same Sai that resides in you resides in them. Until all houses and their surroundings are bright and clean, how can you feel clean and bright? The organization must promote this high sense of unity and responsibility. It must constantly enthuse and educate members to engage themselves in the sadhana of service. Hyderabad, March 29, 1976.